Welcome to today's What Moved the Market show. I'm your host Prem. It's Monday, October 27, 2025, and here is everything you need to know as the markets close for today. Indian markets delivered a strong performance today as both benchmark indices surged on the back of optimism surrounding a potential US-China trade deal and encouraging global cues. The Nifty 50 closed at 25,966, gaining 170 points or 0.67% from Friday's close. The Sensex rallied 567 points, advancing 0.67% to settle at 84,778. Bank Nifty also participated in the rally, closing at 58,086, up 0.67% on the day. The broader market showed healthy momentum as well, with the Nifty Mid-Cap Index advancing 0.86% and the Small Cap Index gaining 0.68%, signaling broad-based participation across market segments. On the currency front, the Indian rupee weakened against the US dollar, closing at 88.24 per dollar, compared to Friday's close of 87.85, marking a decline of 39 paise. The rupee's weakness reflects the strengthening dollar amid improving global risk sentiment and trade deal optimism between the world's two largest economies. Leading the charge on the Nifty 50 today were SBI Life Insurance, which surged over 3%, followed by Grasim Industries and Eternal, both climbing more than 2.5%. Bharti Airtel and Reliance Industries rounded out the top gainers, each advancing over 2% on strong sectoral momentum. On the flip side, Kotak Mahindra Bank led the losers, declining 1.57%, while Infosys dropped 1.4%. Bharat Electronics, Bajaj Finance and Adani Ports also featured among the day's laggards. In a major development that caught market attention, Vodafone Idea shares surged nearly 11% intraday, after the Supreme Court allowed the centre to reconsider the company's adjusted gross revenue dues issue. The court clarified this falls within the government's policy domain, considering that the centre has infused 49% equity in the telecom operator, and keeping in mind the interests of over 20 crore subscribers. This marks significant relief for the financially stressed company. From a technical perspective, Nifty 50 tested the resistance zone around 26,000 during the session, but closed just below it at 25,966. The immediate support for the index is placed at 25,700, which held firm today, while resistance remains at 26,000. A decisive break above this level could open the door for a move towards 26,500 in the coming sessions. For Bank Nifty, support is positioned at 57,300 to 57,500 levels, while resistance stands at 58,200, followed by 58,300 and 58,700. Sectorally, PSU Bank, Realty, metal and oil and gas indices led the rally, each climbing over 1%. These cyclical sectors benefited from the improved global sentiment and expectations of continued economic momentum. On the downside, media and pharma were the only two sectoral indices that closed in the red, reflecting some profit booking in defensive plays. Today saw a significant regulatory development, as the Reserve Bank of India proposed allowing banks to finance domestic and overseas acquisitions by Indian companies. Under the draft circular issued on October 24, banks may extend loans up to 70% of acquisition value, with the framework expected to take effect from April 1, 2026. This marks a significant policy shift enabling Indian banks to play a more active role in mergers and acquisitions. Additionally, eyewear retailer Lenskart announced its IPO price band of 382 to 402 rupees per share, with the issue opening for subscription on October 31 and closing on November 4. The company is seeking a valuation of nearly $8 billion in this highly anticipated offering. In the commodity space, crude oil prices showed mixed movement, with WTI crude trading around $61 per barrel, while Brent crude held near $65. Oil markets remained relatively stable despite ongoing geopolitical tensions and new US sanctions on Russian oil companies. Gold prices on the MCX fell below 1,23,000 rupees per 10 grams, last trading around 1,22,675 rupees, down 776 rupees or 0.63% from the previous close. The decline came as optimism over the US-China trade deal reduced safe haven demand for the yellow metal. Internationally, spot gold dropped to around $4,042 per ounce. Silver prices also witnessed pressure, trading at 1,47,000 rupees per kilogram on the MCX, down 479 rupees or 0.32%, as improved risk sentiment weighed on precious metals. The primary driver of today's market rally was the significant progress in US-China trade negotiations. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent announced over the weekend that both countries have reached a very successful framework for a trade deal, with Presidents Trump and Xi Jinping scheduled to meet later this week in South Korea. This development eased fears of escalating tariffs and export restrictions, with China reportedly agreeing to delay rare earth export controls and boost soybean imports. The potential trade agreement sparked a global equity rally, with Japan's Nikkei crossing 50,000 for the first time ever, and South Korea's Kospi hitting record highs above 4,000. Looking ahead to tomorrow's session, Nifty 50's technical setup suggests a consolidation phase in the 25,600 to 26,100 range. The index has entered slightly overbought territory on short-term indicators, suggesting some cooling off may be warranted. Key support remains at 25,700, with the crucial level at 25,500 acting as strong downside protection. On the upside, a sustained break above 26,000 could trigger momentum towards 26,500. Bank Nifty is expected to consolidate with a positive bias, with immediate support at 57,300 levels and resistance at 58,300. A break below 57,400 could trigger correction towards 56,900. With the US Federal Reserve meeting scheduled for this Wednesday, where a 25 basis point rate cut is almost fully priced in by markets, global cues will remain crucial. Additionally, earnings season continues with several major companies reporting results, which could drive stock-specific action. Here's your actionable insight for tomorrow. With Nifty approaching the critical 26,000 resistance level and showing signs of short-term overbought conditions, traders should watch for a decisive breakout or consolidation. If you're holding positions from lower levels, consider booking partial profits near resistance zones and keeping stop losses at 25,700. For fresh entries, wait for a clear break above 26,000 with strong volumes before adding long positions. Sectors like PSU Banks, metals and Realty continue to show strength and merit attention on any meaningful dips. That wraps up today's market action. Stay tuned for tomorrow morning's wrap and send in your questions. Until then, keep tracking those levels and trade safe. This is Prem signing off.